how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with me. I appreciate
Oh, dude, thank you. You know, thank you for the interest.
Absolutely. Can we talk for a few minutes about the new album,
Uh-huh.
Sons? What was the recording process like? I feel like, you guys, I was, reading up that you guys went back to the basics a little bit during the recording for this album.
Well, the thing is that I live in Florida now, and the guys all live in England, and it's kind of the recording process for this record was we were out, we were touring the Hurt and Merciless record, the last record,
Mm-hmm.
and while we were touring on that record, I'm always working, my laptop in front of me, like right now, with something that I'm looking at. Uh, and so it's no different on tour. And so during that tour, I remember it kind of started where I was just going through my hard drive and just looking at stuff that I just wanted to work on,
Mm-hmm.
or that I'd forgotten about, and kind of I kept stumbling on this beat that I kind of had, and I was just like, it's just not right. It's not right. It's not right. I like what he's doing, but it's not right. So I kind of revisited it, and I was on the tour bus, and I was in the back. So I kind of worked on it for a couple of days while we were on tour, and then I remember Thomas, who plays lead guitar when he comes out with us, Thomas Hunter, and he came into the back while I was working, and two words came out of his mouth that made me think, all right, this is pretty hot. And because he just came in and just went, "Damn, dude,"
Yeah.
and then that kind of turned into heavy for you. And I just went, because he came in first and said, "Damn, dude," and then Toby, who plays keys, came in like a little later. I was just like, dude, this sounds like some old kind of funkadelic shit. And I was like, oh, okay, you know. And I was thinking funkadelic because at that time all I had was just like a bass
Mm-hmm.
and a clavinet and a beat, and it was just like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And then I said to Chris, I hear the drums going like this and going, So when we finished the tour, I kind of had like three or four things that I thought, right, I'm going to develop these when I get home,
Mm-hmm.
and so I kind of did that, and it was pretty difficult because we just had a child
Oh my
at that time.
gosh.
Yeah, so I was kind of trying to work on stuff, and my wife's incredible, so I get the time to kind of work as well as be a father.
Yeah.
We have a really, really great balance, and then before I knew it, I had like 10 songs, and I just phoned Daniel one day and said, "Listen, dude, I'm coming back to the UK. I need you. I'm not going to send these to you, you because I actually want to see the whites of your eyes when we're actually speaking and going through these ideas." And so this was like in the January, and so I went over to England, and he said, "I've got like 6 or 7 songs as well," and I was just like, "Amazing! All right, let's have a listen." So we began to trade off, and it was just such an exciting afternoon. I remember, and just thinking, "Wow, okay, well let's get this done." And immediately we kind of said to our management, "We can't go back out on tour this year." You know what I mean? It was just like, we have to get this record done. This record could be so ridiculous. Let's try and get it done. So the recording process went between me being in Florida, the guys being in England. A ton of the drums on this record were recorded in Chrissy's shed.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, exactly, were recorded in Chrissy's shed, and some of the bass as well was recorded in Chrissy's shed. Daniel recorded a lot of guitar at home. I had Thomas Hunter in Los Angeles, kind of throwing down lead ideas, and then flew him over to England when I was going one time, and we kind of cut all of his in like 2 days, and then I just kind of had all of this information I took him up to Florida, played around, got it into some kind of shape, and then we got a really, really good friend of ours, Paul Corkett, who has been a friend of mine for over 20 years and helped us on the Glorious Dead record, and just said, can you help us put all of this together? And, you know, once I kind of arranged everything, can you help us put it together? And yeah, that's how the recording process kind of went. It's kind of like, it's so great these days that we have the technology to be able to do that.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. It's amazing to me to know that, so many people can be scattered so many places across the globe and have this whole thing come together. And I feel like you guys have like executed it like flawlessly. It's amazing.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Ab-
Thank you. You know,
Absolutely.
there is still, though, I will say, just to add to that, it's great being able to kind of, you know, work here in Florida. Chrissy kind of record drums.
Hmm.
Spence record bass with Chrissy in the shed. Dan would do that. But it's that magic when you all get together in the room and you discuss as to how things need to be. That's just precious. You can't get that remotely. You know,
Very, very
it's
true.
it's not possible. So that's, you know, and that I think that's why Daniel kind of presented, like, towards the end of the album. He was kind of like, I've got this idea. I'm not too sure if you're going to like the idea for Sons, but, you know, because we've become family, you know, and when we're all together, it feels like family. So Sons, and I was like, dude, that's it. You know,
Absolutely.
we are.
I mean, what I love so much is that you guys can never be boxed into one particular genre or another. I mean, how important is that for you going forward? Because I think, I mean, so much of your music has been used in movies and television and video games and all that, and I think that is because it's different. It's something that we don't hear like 20 times a day on the radio.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But, you know, when we first got out from Great, you know, when we made Great Vengeance and Furious Fire, I remember watching Pulp Fiction, and, you know, when Samuel L. Jackson, I will rain down upon you with great vengeance and furious anger. That's the line. But I was just like, no, Great Vengeance and Furious Fire, that's us. This is this. Because at that point we had like 10 tracks. We'd literally just finished these 10 tracks, and it's like that line just seemed to fit those 10 tracks. And those 10 tracks, myself and Daniel, the way that we'd always kind of get out to write, so it's like a mixtape to your girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So if you're doing a mixtape, it's not going to be one solid thing. You know, I don't want to hear 10 tracks that sound the same.
No.
Or, you know, 10 tracks on the same genre. If we're making a mixtape, then we're going to make 10 different tracks, but it's going to have a journey. You know, it's going to have a beginning to it, and you're going to go on a journey. And with every record, we try and do that. We try and keep that ethos of, right, let's try and not do the same thing that we did. You know, we have elements that we always have, but then we always write different songs. You know, it's boring to kind of just sit in just one style.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's the thing. I mean, I love being able to listen to an album as a whole and not feel like I need to skip a track or do this because each thing is giving me like a fresh taste of something else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like when you recorded, like, a song such as How You Like Me Now, like, did you ever expect, when putting that together, that it would be literally everywhere?
I never thought it was going to be, you know, obviously we never knew. You don't know. I always kind of have this thing, like, you know, when let's say, Howlin' Wolf left with that, you know, when Howlin' Wolf recorded that, I think the dude from Chess said, this is Howlin' Wolf's new record. He doesn't like it, but he never really liked his first electric guitar either, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the name of the record. But after listening to that record, for me, I'm kind of like, how the hell did he feel when he kind of left the studio with that? You know what I mean? Or how do you never know. You don't know. You kind of record it, and then you put it out, and you know that kind of magic that kind of happens when people kind of get swept along with it is an amazing thing. I remember writing it and saying to Daniel, "I've come up with this thing, and I just love the audacity of it." You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how you like me now. You know, I've been bad. I've done all of this stuff, but how you like me now? How you like me now? You know, we were just laughing about it, and it was just like, oh no, we've got to do this. We have to turn this into a record. You know, and then I remember just like having just the instrumental, and I was DJing one night, so in like a really, really kind of fetal stage of that track, and it was just literally just horns, drums, bass, and a little bit of guitar. And I just wanted to see what it would go down like, you know. And I think I remember playing it after the Kinks all day, all night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I remember playing it after the Kinks, and the dude that ran the bar that I was playing in, and he came up to me, and I think I played like the Humpty Dance after it or something. and then, but he came up to me, and he was just like, "What was that track? What was that track?" I said, "Oh, that's like an instrumental for a track that we're working on at the moment." He's like, "Fucking mate, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous." You know? So it was, I knew it had something for someone to kind of just like come up to me and just like almost shake me by the shoulders to show me how much they loved it, even without the words, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like, you never know. You never know what it's going to do, you know?
Absolutely. So, I mean, being that our website is ageofthenerd.com is like our sister site to our music site. And, you know, is there something that you nerd out about in your spare time that we might be surprised to know?
What do I nerd out? I mean, the thing is, it's so funny. My son loves being in the studio. So I guess, you know, he's 2 years old and he just loves pressing buttons.
Aw.
But he loves being in here, and you know, it's like when I'm kind of programming drums or something, and he just loves kind of, you know. So I'm kind of nerding out with him as to what I'm using. So I'm kind of like, all right, so we're going to use an ATR 102 on these drums. Okay, this is what an ATR 102 looks like. You know, and so we're going to drive it. So when you drive it, it does this, and you know, and if I kind of push it back, pull it back, or if I give it just like half an inch. Let's use half an inch and let's see what that sounds like. You know, so I'm kind of talking through with him, you know, or maybe let's use like the 4ATL lexicon reverb on this, shall we? Let's see what that's like, you know, and yeah, so I nerd out with my son. He comes in here and he's so good. He's so good, and he's so interested in anything that kind of makes sound that's musical. So yeah, I kind of nerd out with him.
He's going to be a little master.
Well, yeah, we will see. We will see. He seems to be really, really receptive to anything that's kind of put in front of him at the moment. So
that's awesome.
We'll see what happens.
So, what kinds of touring do you guys have planned for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, well, we are touring. Well, we begin in New York next week.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be in New York, Vancouver, Seattle. It's just a North American mini tour. So it's New York, Vancouver, Seattle, San Francisco, and then finishing up in LA.
Okay.
And then we have plans. We do have plans to kind of get back to North America in the fall, perhaps early fall.
Okay.
So those dates are kind of being penciled in at the moment. But we are touring around Europe from mid-October to the beginning of first week of November. So we'll be touring all around Europe and finishing off in England, which will be quite fun. That'll be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Do you have any more music videos planned? I know you did the one for Better As One so far from the new album. Are there some more of that planned?
Yeah, we will see. I know, you know, there are a couple of tracks that I think are possibly going to be released from Sons.
Okay.
You know, but we haven't decided as to what yet. You know, just because it's fun to kind of make it. You know, the record's out now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's always kind of fun to kind of have a visual too.
Absolutely.
But I couldn't tell you if we're actually gonna do a promo with us all in there, or whether we're gonna do like a lyric video, or we're gonna do something with one or two of the tracks on Sons there, and we're just working on new stuff,
Absolutely.
So what, like between the tour and as I said to you, I don't stop working. I'm always kind of trying to create something.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes out to speak with me. I appreciate it. Definitely, we hope to see you guys in Philadelphia at some point.
Oh yeah, you will. We love Philly. We love coming
Awesome.
there. So hopefully we will get to see you.
Awesome.
In the fall. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Enjoy.
All right. Have a
Bye-bye.
great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.